welcome back to the Stormwater Creek podcast. We're coming live from the Texas Fly Fishing Festival. This is year 2 of this, and this thing has been awesome this year. There's been way more people than there were last year. It didn't work the very first year because this is the 3rd year they've had it. So
yeah, second year for us.
Second year for us, but it's been great. We've gotten a lot of attention for backcountry hunters and anglers. It seems like all the booths have had a lot of traffic through them, and we're pleased to get joined by one of those guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, Peter Stitcher from Ascent Fly Fishing.
Yeah, I came down from Colorado, and we're seeing how you do it in Texas.
Yeah, winter's a little different down here, right?
I mean, yeah, it's about 30 degrees colder back home, so I don't know if I'm going back.
You guys have been getting slammed with snow this year, haven't you?
We need it. We love it.
Yeah?
I mean, yeah. Lots of snow means healthy rivers and happy fish.
It was pretty dry this summer, wasn't it?
It is.
New Mexico was last year.
Yeah, we had some of our watersheds had 7% snowpack last year, and that means really hard fishing and tough on the trout.
Yeah. Just real low water and just not. They need that water moving, right?
Absolutely, yeah. They need cold water. I mean, down here at the bass, they don't mind a little hot water if you're fishing for catfish and gar and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, trout, it's got to be cold.
Got to be cold.
Yep.
Yeah, we're hoping that we're going to do a big elk hunt this year, and so we're hoping the little extra snow is going to kind of help us out a little bit, but you never know.
Well, I can't help you with elk, but I can certainly help you all with trout and your listeners.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself and Ascent. And
Right. Yeah. So Ascent Fly Fishing is the only biologist-owned and operated fly shop. So we focus on fly fishing, and we geek out for our clients. I take the stuff I do as a biologist, and I like to break it down into something that a first-time fly fisher can tie on their rod and just go out and crush it wherever they're fishing.
Wow.
So, we tie 50,000 flies a week.
Oh.
And
how many people are doing that?
We have 38 full-time fly tiers.
Wow.
Yeah, and on a good day, each of them can tie 10 dozen flies.
10,000 flies in a day?
10 dozen
10
flies.
dozen. Oh, I was like, woo.
Yeah.
That's some nimble fingers.
Right. But
each one can tie 10 dozen. It's
I know.
125 per person.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of flies.
But yeah, I mean, we're helping people catch fish, and we primarily focus on trout, but we got a lot of bass flies. So for people that want to test out their fly fishing skills, or even tie on a fly on a conventional rod, they can get started that way. You don't need a fancy fly rod to get going.
Yeah, one of the things we stress to everybody, just you go get yourself just a regular fly rod, a spinning rod, something. Just get out on the water and start catching fish. That's the big thing. So
just getting outside, right? I mean, that's what the backcountry's about. That's what the Ascent's about. It's about family. It's about community.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's peace in the woods and on the river, and we want to share that. So fly fishing is not an elite sport. You don't need to be a 1%er or an oil tycoon to do it and do it well. I send a lot of flies out with people with spinning rods, and we get them on fish. So I want to help the Texans get on the.
Yeah, that was one thing. I was just I just started tying flies, and obviously, just starting out, they're not the best in the world, but I gave them to some of the guys. I was in Louisiana for work, and I gave a Clouser minnow to one of the guys there, and he put it on a spinner rod and threw it out there, and he said in the first 5 seconds he got a bite because he was in a little pond where no one uses that kind of thing.
Right.
So, it was just amazing to me how, because I never thought it would work on a spinner rod, but,
Well, how many do you think most of your listeners, are they familiar with fly fishing, or should we define what a fly is? Because they think, man,
go for it.
I hate flies, right? They get my
go for it.
Yeah.
Sure. There's probably a good split.
Right, that's kind of a generic sounding word, but in fly fishing, the fly can be it's your lure, and it can look like anything. It can look like a frog. It can look like a shad or a brim or a grasshopper, but we just call them all flies, and we just we wrap them up with hair and yarn and plastic legs, and that's what we're using. But it can be used with conventional gear. I just got back from 8 days in Panama, and there was a couple out surf fishing, and they weren't catching a thing. And I'm like, hey, let me see your rig. And I hooked them up with a couple of Clouser minnows, which is a good saltwater bug. It looks like a bait fish, and they were catching 30 fish an hour with me after that. Wow. So
that's a find, somebody like you, and you're just hey, let me help you out here.
Open invitation everywhere I go. I give people my card, and I'm like, my mobile's on there.
Yeah.
You can text me a picture of a bug from your pond in Texas or from Montana. I'll tell you what that is in your box. You tell me what species you want to catch. I'll put dots all over Google Maps across the country. Wherever you're driving, I'll tell you where the best fishing's going to be.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
I want to get
Man.
people on it.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? That's I think the barrier of entry for most people is just I don't even know where to start. I don't know what to do, and so to have somebody like you to be able to kind of point them in the direction and say, just take this and go over there and put it in the water and
absolutely. I had
catch fish.
A guy in from Dallas came into the shop in Denver, just last week, and he was up for 2 days for business, and I literally tied on his flies. He had this rod, he didn't know what was going on, and I'm like, these are the exact 2 flies. Sold him $6 worth of flies. I'm like, you don't need any more than that.
Yep, go.
This is where you need to go. This is how you're going to fish it. And he texted me back, and he had an awesome day on the water. So
That's
Awesome,
awesome.
dude. And the way you were explaining it earlier is, so basically if anyone wants to go to Colorado to go fishing, they can call you up and say, hey, I'm about to go on this trip. And you said you already have all the data for probably most popular rivers, right?
Right.
Across the United States. So how does that work? Like, what do they need to do to give you that information?
Right. That's a great question. So the way we approach fishing is much different than any other shop. We got a lot of hunters that are listening. Turkey, duck, deer, whatever. Your sport, right? You understand, turkey are going to move this way. These deer are going to walk on this trail. And this season, they're going to be going after this, acorns or whatever. There's patterns, there's cycles, and you start to understand it. So in the fly fishing world, as an aquatic biologist, I've gathered this information specifically on which bugs live in trout waters across the United States. And so I can have on our website, ascentflyfishing.com, any client can say, I want a biologist-packed fly selection. And they can say, I'm going to the Deschutes River in Oregon, 3rd week of July. I'm going to the Beaver's Kill in New York, or I'm going to fish Great Smoky Mountains. I fish it spring through summer. They tell me their budget, their skill level, and specific water and season or region they're going to fish. And I go into this big geeky database in my computer. We got 600,000 flies in the shop. And then I'm going to build them a custom fly selection specific to the bugs that live in that water when they're fishing it, because that's what the fish are eating. So all you got to do is tie it on and net the fish.
Yeah, that's awesome, because every time I go out, all I do is I just tie whatever I can, even bass fishing. My plastics, I just take a bunch of colors, a bunch of different type of thing, throw it out there, fish it for a little bit. If it doesn't do anything, change it, just keep on going until I figure it out. I don't look at anything really.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like use a crawfish, every now and then, at a certain time of year, that kind of thing. But other than that, it's just, let's see if this works.
Yeah.
And we all have our tried and true black and blue, and I'm a watermelon red guy for bass. But like other than that, like that takes a lot of the guesswork.
Yeah, exactly. It does.
Especially for someone new.
And getting over that hump. So if So as far as just you're also an aquatic biologist, obviously, which is where you get all the information from.
Right.
So just talk to us a little bit about fish behavior and just why, just from a basic level, why do fish do what they do from going to deep to moving to shallow and kind of that whole spawning practice and what does that kind of life cycle look like?
Right. Yeah. So the fish behavior that really pertains to fishermen, whether you're a spin fisherman or a fly fisherman, bait fisherman, you name it. It's where are the fish going to be and what are they eating?
Yeah.
That's what we need. In the world of trout, 90% of the fish only use like 10% of the river.
Yeah.
So if you don't know where they're at, you could be throwing your flies or rooster tails, 50 yards away from any fish in the river. So I think a crossover between both trout and bass is they're going to put themselves in a place, be it in the pond or the river, where they feel safe and where they have access to food. Those are the two main components.
So, let's just kind of break that down as far as feeling safe. Where does a fish go to? What is for hunting always, for us, we always look at this place and we're like, oh, this is a perfect setup, right? But it's not necessarily what you think it is. It's right. It's what the animal or the fish does. So what makes a fish feel safe in a certain spot? I guess is the best.
So we'll start in the world of trout. The world of trout live in a moving world, right? A river is always flowing right in their face, and it's wearing them out. It's trying to push them downstream, and they're fighting up into the current. And what they're doing is they're waiting for food to kind of lose its footing on the bottom of the river, some bug drifting up out of the gravel, or another grasshopper, something landing on the surface, and that's going to drift down to them. And so the trout, they need a place that's going to be safe from a predator. I mean, mature trout need at least a foot of water over their head. I'm not wasting a cast in anything less than a foot of water. And, generally a couple feet of water or close to some big cover like a boulder or a root wad. I mean, if you're fishing rivers for bass or gar or something, you're going to see fish also holding in this protected water. Think about it like, the offensive line of the Dallas Cowboys, right? It's pushing back against the current. It's pushing back against that defense. And the trout or the bass is the quarterback in the pocket, right? They're holding in that pocket, protected from the force of that river that's trying to rip their, push them down. So when they're in that protected, they're protected from the flow of the river, and they can duck under that root wad. They can duck under that boulder to get away from a predator. So that's the sweet spot. That's that key habitat, protection from flow, protection from predators. If you're fishing a pond, you're hitting deadfall, you're hitting docks, you're hitting, weedy channels, and they're ambushing their prey. Trout are very similar. They're alpha predators, they're ambushers. So we got that protection. Also, concentration of food. Where are they going to get the most calories back? I mean, I had my first Texas barbecue last night with like black ends. I about lost my mind. I could have fallen asleep under the table.
Oh yeah, they're crazy. That's candy.
Burn-ins are some of the best things out there, man.
My wife's from Virginia, and she's like, North Carolina barbecue. I mean, I hope she doesn't listen to this, but I think I prefer Texas.
Oh, it's an age-old debate there, So they both have their merits, but
we are the best.
But yeah, I mean, if I'm coming to Texas and I want good eats, I'm going to go get barbecue, right? There's my calories. So trout and bass, they're going to put themselves in a place in the river where there's going to be a funnel of food. Like, where's that fast food lane with all the calories? They're not going to go where it's just, skimpy, a little French fry here or there. They want the whole meal. So going back to that analogy of the offensive line, this piece of cover in the water, when you have a boulder sticking out in the river, I mean, that river's coming down and it runs into that boulder. Can't go through it. Sometimes if that boulder's poking out of the water, the tree's poking out of the water, can't go over it, so it's going to go around it. And within that current, all the bugs that have landed on the water or are drifting through the water get pushed around that also. So we get these two funnels of food wrapping around this. That's a concentrated flow of food next to some nice protective cover. Those are the sweet spots where we're going to find trout, where we're going to find bass, you name it.
So as far as one thing you caught my mind, you when you look at a piece of water, you're like, if it's a foot deep, you're not even going to deal with it, right? So how would somebody walk out to a river that maybe they don't even know and kind of identify those spots? What are some tips that you may have for that?
Right.
For those deeper channels,
It's we call them feeding lanes or seam lines in the world of fly fishing, and essentially this feeding lane, it's anywhere where there's this really rapid, aggressive water, that's unsustainable. We're not finding fish there, but where's that little bit of protection, and then somewhere in between where that medium fast water meets that white foamy water, those trout are going to be holding in that sweet spot. And like that quarterback, you'll see them dart out, strike at some food. It's like making a play, and then they return. So where this medium fat water meets the fast water, and as you walk a river, I mean, you're going to see there's not a lot of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty rare because that river's aggressive and it's rushing downhill. So, in a 20-yard section of river, you might have one or two casts in good spots, and then you're moving on. It's a super active sport.
I think too, kind of bringing that up. So we were at Broken Bow up in Broken Bow fishing for trout, and we're just kind of striking out and finally found a little spot, and it was deeper. Fast moving water, and I don't really have that much experience with that. So we were catching fish there, and it makes sense because there were a bunch of boulders there, and I bet there was a bunch on the bottom because we were catching them towards the bottom of that. Right. So I bet there was a bunch of rocks on the bottom down there that were creating those little channels where they could hide there and then just jump up and get it.
And that was kind of a cut in.
A cut in, yeah.
From the fast water, so they were kind of sitting on the edge of that.
Right.
And then just pop, and getting that stuff.
And so a cut in, you mean like the river was kind of bending around you?
It came around us, but there was some erosion into the bank.
Yes.
So there was a still spot right there.
I guess that's an eddy, right? Kind of.
Yeah. So that's going to be another habitat type.
Yeah.
So every river, I mean, whether it's the Rio Grande, the Colorado, or just some little tailwater creek like Broken Bow, I mean, that river, as it goes down through the land, it's going to bend. It's going to be like a snake wrapping its way through the land. And what you're going to find is every time that river bends, the deepest water is going to be on the outside of that bend.
Yeah.
And what's happening is that river's clumsy, and it's grinding and biting its way through the land, and it's going to dig out that outside bend. And it's going to pick up sand and gravel. And as it turns around that next corner, it's going to drop all that sand and gravel on the inside of the next bend.
Okay.
So it's going to be shallow, sandy gravel on the inside of that loop and deep, good cover on the outside of that loop. And when you're fishing Oklahoma, Arkansas, these kind of grassy banked rivers, you get a nice deep undercut bank, good cover for trout. Dropping a hopper off of that in the early spring or late spring, like the big trout will come rocking and out of there and hit that.
That makes a lot of sense the way you said it that way.
Yeah.
I've read a bunch of books on just this, and I don't think it explained it that well.
Yeah, that clearly,
Yeah, like river types and eddies and stuff like that. I'm super confused on those all the time because we don't really call them that, just a river.
Yeah.
But like I said, it makes sense. That's where it's hitting. It's creating that erosion, and that's going to be that deep place for them to get. And I would imagine the deeper – is it true that the deeper that is down on that section, the slower the water is going to be at the bottom down there? Or?
That's exactly right. So, up on the surface of the river, in the middle of the river, it's like the Indianapolis 500. There's nothing in the way of that flow to slow it down. So what slows down the flow of the river and creates that kind of protected spot where trout or bass aren't like blowing all their calories out just keeping up with the current is roots and logs and branches, rocks on the bottom of the river. Again, that's all that offensive line, pushing hands against the other team, slowing it down. The deeper you go in the water, it is progressively slower to the point that river is actually rolling over the logs and rocks on the bottom of the river. There's a zone of zero water speed. So that's where the bugs live. The food that these trout are eating, the food that the bass are eating, they live 99.9% of their life is right there on the bottom of the river. So they're safe there. They don't have to expend much energy, and the food is there. So that's the sweet spot. If you want to catch fish, fly fishing, bass fishing, anything, you got to get to the bottom of the river. Okay. So I'm assuming what you were catching on was probably mostly wet flies, fish deep.
Yeah, we actually were super cheating. We just had the split shot with the salmon eggs, and just because we did the fly thing, and I just wasn't having any luck. So
next
I
time
need to call you.
Yeah. We got your card now. That's gonna happen right immediately.
Yeah, we went out in the morning, and I was trying different flies, and just but it's like I just went out there. I'm like, I don't know how to do this, right? And so I was just like, well, let's go here, and okay, so go to some slower kind of big pools. And try that. But so I was fishing on top. So that was, I think, the biggest thing for me is like you just don't know, like, how do I need to drive down below, the water? When do I need to look down below the water, and when do I need to stay on top of the water, right? And so that was the question for me.
Right. Well, open invitation to you and all your listeners. My mobile is on the website. It's on my card. You can text me a picture of a bug from the water like, man, we're not catching anything on this section of the river today. What's going on? I'll give you, play-by-play feedback. You got a biologist on speed dial now.
Oh, wow.
But on my website, we have podcasts. We have articles. We have YouTube videos that really – over 5 years of articles that break down the geeky stuff I do as a biologist and how do you kind of break down these kind of, foundations.
Why are you doing what you're doing when,
But, you're asking, like, you said you might have been fishing some dry flies initially.
Yep.
And you're like, when do you know if you're doing the right thing? Well, the trout are going to give you feedback. In the truest sense of the word, if the trout aren't feeding on top of the water, if they're not slapping the surface of the water,
go below.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So it's just think about, you eat different stuff throughout the day, right? You don't eat Cheerios all day, every day. So, if someone offers you Cheerios, at 6 o'clock, you're like, no, I want some black and ends. I want some ribs, right?
Exactly.
So if the trout aren't eating on top of the water, they're saying that we're not on that meal yet. We're not there. So you go deep. And just assume you're going deep most of the time. That's where 80% of fish feeding happens.
What is why would they go up to the top? What is kind of triggering them to go up to the top versus staying down below?
Right. So, fly fishing, we do something called matching the hatch. And what that means is assuming that fish are going to be eating different stuff throughout the day, they're going where the greatest concentration of calories are, where they're getting the biggest meal. Mm-hmm. And so, again, 99.9% of the life of their food, specifically trout, it's on the bottom of the river. It lives in that nice slow zone. And but But there's going to be a season when it's time to hatch. And so it's going to swim up out of the water. And so the fish follow the food. All of a sudden, it's like all this food's leaving a bunker of all these rocks on the bottom of the river. So the trout or whatever the fish are, they're going to start chasing that food up. And then these bugs hit the surface of the water. And just like, it's a little early to be drinking here yet in Texas, but here in half an hour, whatever, we get to start pouring beers, right? And if you pour a beer into a pint glass, you get a nice big head of bubbles, right?
Yeah.
Well, same thing happens during a hatch. These bugs hit the surface of the water and they get stuck, just like a head of bubbles. They get stuck in that surface tension. All of a sudden, there's this concentration of food there. We start seeing fins clipping the surface of the water. The fish start rolling. We call those patterns emergers. They're trying to emerge out of the water, so we can change our flies to that next life cycle. This is where the fish are at now. If you're throwing Cheerios, that was on the bottom of the river. Now we're on to, we're on to steak. So we switch up the flies, and then those bugs start getting out of the top of the water, and then they spread their wings and fly off. And that's when we start fishing the dry flies. The fish start slapping and splashing. They tell us we've moved on, and we join them where they're at.
So, for me, when we talk about a hatch, right, it's like, I think about one thing. Like, so is it just like the rut where it's like this is happening just like right now? Or is it just, how often is this occurring throughout the year and through the just depends on how many bugs there are? Or?
It can happen multiple times per day. So the hatches, we call the hatches when these bugs hit the surface of the water and they fly off, they kind of fly around, and we get to see the fish come up and splash it. And that's super fun, super exciting. So there is a season for every bug when it's like it's our turn on the menu, our turn to come off the water and kind of be the focal point.
Yeah.
So, you grow a garden here in Texas, there's a season when you plant your spinach and your squash and your pumpkins and your tomatoes. And at roughly the same season each year, within a couple of weeks, your spinach and lettuce is going to get ripe first. It's on the menu. And then here comes your cucumbers and your squash and your tomatoes. And finally, here comes your pumpkins in the fall, right?
Yeah.
You're not getting pumpkins growing in the spring. Same thing's going to happen. Out of all these different types of bugs that live in the water, each family, each hatch is going to have a window, a season. So consistently, year after year, you're going to see that same bug coming off that same water at the same time, at the same size. Give it a year, you're going to see that same thing happen again. So it's a cycle.
Yeah.
Same cycles we see, with our ducks migrating and our doves. We're going to see these bugs kind of coming on the menu, and it starts to become predictable, and you know what's going to happen.
Once you know here are the 5 things that are going to happen, and when they're going to happen, all right, well, if it's in the first thing, you go after that,
Right.
I'll put that on the end of your rod. It's fascinating, It's just, I don't know, being from Texas, the thought of using like bugs is just grasshoppers to me, right? That's what we've always used. We as kids would go get live grasshoppers and put them on the end of it, and that would always work the very best for us, right? So I think just kind of, I'm interested to kind of reach out to you and kind of get, hey, I'm here. What kind of bugs can I use, right?
Right.
Because Jordan and I have both gone off the deep end on the fly tying thing, and so I've been tying a lot of frog stuff and caught fish on frogs, and I think that's an awesome, that topwater experience is always really neat. But how do I then take that to those subsurface flies and those wet flies, if you will?
Right. Well, and it can be intimidating. So there's a family of bugs called midges.
Yep.
And it's everything that gets in your potato salad or ruins your baseball game, right? They're all always in your face, and it includes mosquitoes and those big old crane flies that fly around your lights at night. Mm-hmm. There's 17,000 types of midges in America.
Oh, wow.
Good God. How many flies do you need?
Yeah.
As you're getting started, or you listen to Dave Whitlock or a lot of these really well-known fly fishing guys, there's like maybe a dozen fly patterns. If you have those in your box, you just fish them in a couple sizes and fish them well, it's going to get the job done.
Yeah.
The trick is just get close. What's the size of this? What's the shape of it? What's the color?
Yeah.
Let's try to get close to that, and you're going to get the job done.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there's or even in your personal, fly arsenal that you take on a river, is there like a pattern that just seems to work almost all the time?
Right.
Like just something that even if you match the hatch, you think you got
your fallback plan.
Just to always have I always keep one thing in my bass tackle box and I know this works
right
most of the time.
Yeah. So I've coined this kind of family of flies, like these kind of, silver bullet type flies. I call them generalist. It's, close enough in size and color. It's generally going to get the job done. So there's patterns called the pheasant tail or the hare's ear. Those are 2 wet flies. With those 2 flies, you can match all 641 species of mayfly we have. 2 flies, just change the size. Mm-hmm. I mean, for midges, you got 17,000 types. Well, there's a little white midge larva called the miracle midge. I mean, that white fly is like a blank palette. I go fishing with maybe 5 different Sharpies in my pocket. So all of a sudden I see a red or a green midge in the water. I just hit that white fly with a Sharpie, and I've quadrupled my fly selection with a marker.
Oh, wow.
So you got to think outside the box. You don't need to spend a lot of money at a fly shop. I mean, our flies are $1 to $1.25.
And that's
so
coming
a lot
from somebody
less.
who owns a fly shop.
Right. I don't want to sell anyone anything they don't need. I'm happy to send you away with a map with good fishing spots without selling you a fly. I want people just to get outside with their families and their friends. And
one thing, too, that's the thing is there's a lot of people that are like you, like Sean over at Tailwaters here in Dallas, you up in Denver, Tim over at Eagle's Nest in New Mexico. I mean, I think a lot of people get intimidated because they're like, oh, I've got to be this, super rich guy, and I walk into this place and no one's going to pay attention to me. But you walk in, most of the time, you're going to have somebody go, here's what you need.
Right. I mean, we're seeing a shift. I mean, I think historically fly fishing's earned a bad name because people they talk down to people that use power bait or salmon eggs or lures, and I think we're all on the same team. We're all fighting for access. We all appreciate the community and life that we experience on the water and in the woods. We need to be standing shoulder by shoulder, otherwise, we're going to lose access.
That's the thing, right?
On the other side of the coin, we see the same thing with rifle hunters and bow hunters.
Right, same thing.
I mean, just everybody has their own opinion. Like, oh, you're on a high fence and doing this, or you're under corn, or you're using a bow.
We're going to make ourselves our own worst enemy if we're not careful.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. On all fronts. So, but it's man, I'm literally going to start sending you I need a box. So
well, good.
Absolutely. Next time you go to Broken Bow, for sure.
I'm going to do it. I want to see what I can get for Texas here too.
Absolutely.
For the pond out there.
The ponds, the creeks. We've got some duck spots we're scouting for. So we like to scout for ducks while fishing.
Yeah.
So
that's perfect.
It's a twofer. So we're super excited about meeting you here, and
absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on, guys.
Cannot recommend Ascent Fly Fishing.
Yeah.
Right. Ascent flyfishing.com, and I mean, there's just a wealth of information. I mean, the YouTube videos, the articles, the podcasts. It's just a good way to get access, get into it, start learning it, and then you'll do a lot better. We'll cut that learning curve down by a couple of years for you.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's one of the best things for people to do when they're new, is have that learning curve cut down and actually get hooked on.
Yeah, because they start catching fish, and all of a sudden they're like, all right, now I'm going to take it to the next level.
Oh,
you know? And so I think that's what we got to do. We got to bring new people into the sport and lower that barrier of entry and kind of make people feel welcome no matter who they are.
Exactly. So. Well, guys, you're doing a good work. I appreciate backcountry hunters and anglers, and hopefully we can collaborate and do some more stuff together.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Peter, thank you very much. Have a good one.
For sure.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, man.
There we go.
We're going.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Nervous.
Oh, God, I'm so nervous. Well, welcome back. We took a slight break after talking to Ascent Fly Fishing.
Yes.
And now we got Kekoa Outdoors, and Chris and Donovan.
How you guys doing?
Proud to be here.
It's nice, man. The fly fishing festival's been awesome this year.
Yeah, it's been pretty productive for us.
Yeah?
We've had a lot of traffic at the booth.
You guys are in a prime location over there.
Yeah, we got the VIP spot, man.
Everybody's going to walk right past you.
Number one, right behind where you buy your beer tickets.
Yeah, beer tickets, then Kekoa. That's awesome.
Yep.
So I was at Bass Pro Shop a couple weeks ago, and Carrie Athorn was doing a talk on crappie fishing creeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there early, and a dude walks up, and he was like, man, we got to chatting, and he was like, I just got back from this, super cool sale from these guys.
Just up the road.
And I was like, oh, man, really? What is this, fly fishing stuff? He's like, yeah. And he dropped you guys' name, and I was like,
really?
Oh, no. Really? I know those guys. I know those boys. So.
when you get to feel cool, hey, I know those guys.
I do know those guys. And I actually wasn't lying. I knew them, you know.
Yeah, we've been doing a sale once a month at the house.
Yeah.
You know, I open it up and people come in and do about 4 hours. People come.
Yeah, we've been talking about coming.
Absolutely.
We just started jumping in feet first into fly tying. So
I was gonna say last year I don't think we were doing that. No,
I saw a couple of your patterns. They look pretty decent.
Man, from like just going to YouTube and just being like, all right.
And you're going to save so much money.
Yeah. No.
Hey. Sometimes my wife actually listens to this. Don't say that.
Yeah. It's like I saw a meme for hunting the other day. It's the most expensive way to get free meat. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I spend ridiculous amounts of money, and it's just like, oh well, now I can. But if I spend this, I can tie like, 2 dozen flies with this.
I'm going to spend $400, and I'm going to tie 500 flies.
Yes. It's going to be ridiculously cheap.
So cheap.
It's
just
so
that
cheap.
initial investment.
Yeah. But
we just did a pheasant hunt in Gainesville at Prairie's End Hunt Club, and me and my daughter went, and we had it planned for some veterans, but everything fell apart last minute for them. So they didn't get to attend, but me and my daughter still ended up going because we had it booked. And we shot 19 birds, and it cost us $800
Oh, wow.
to get some prairie chickens. You know? I mean, it's expensive to put meat in the freezer.
But that was dual purpose because you didn't repurposed all the feathers?
Yes. Yeah, we kept all the feathers.
Yeah.
So we'll be tying flies. We've got several pheasants, some chuckers, and quail.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yep.
So, we're big duck hunters, and so we killed a mallard the last day of the season.
Yeah.
And we decided to take some feathers. I've got a whole bunch of feathers. So, like, what's a good fly for a duck feather? Have you ever used duck feather style flies?
Yeah, you can do wet flies with them and use the wings.
Yeah.
They'll be real good.
Kinda.
Yeah, those are the best feathers. And then you can get the CDC, from the duck feathers. It's the fluffy stuff at the ends.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was tracking.
What do you do with that? Just like make a dubbing? Or?
No, the CDC you can use as like a wing post or.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Super waterproof.
Yeah.
Like oily.
Yeah.
Or
And it's the feathers like around their butt.
Oh, okay.
And then the flank feathers.
Yeah.
Like under their wings, above their hips.
Like these guys here.
Right in here.
We're looking at We're looking at pictures of ducks on the BHA banners.
So you can use those
super
for
helpful for everyone
tails
listening.
for nymphs, or
Yeah.
even soft hackles, big soft hackles.
Yeah.
Yeah, mallard flank.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then if you'll get the biots, which they're super small.
Okay.
I mean, you can't really get them off of every duck, but the bigger ducks,
Okay.
gadwalls, mallards, there's a feather along the leading edge of their wing, and you literally have to peel it up, and you can wrap it for bodies, but it's going to be super small for really small nymph and midge patterns.
It's awesome. I've got a bunch of duck feathers I'm going to have to start tying stuff with, so
Yeah.
we'll have to come over and here's what I have. What do I do?
Yeah.
So,
Bring your stuff over. We're going to start doing some tying classes, so
yeah.
yeah, we'll get you guys lined up.
We
You
need
need
it.
to let us know because we'll post that up on our stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're super, like I said, we're both into it now, and now I'm about to go back into the bug pattern, so grasshoppers. So I mean, that's kind of things right now that are probably catching pretty good amount of fish, I imagine.
Yeah, I just got a new foam cutter set that does a real cool grasshopper pattern.
Oh wow.
It each piece you cut with this set out of foam, and then you tie it up, and
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I can't wait to try it.
I'd love to give that a try because grasshoppers were my. I decided to start real easy with something like a grasshopper, and I figured out it's just not. They're so hard to get to make look. I mean, it's easy to tie one, but it's just not easy to make it look like a grasshopper.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like also like how.
You gotta realize the fish are looking up at it.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
the thing, right?
Yeah.
So as long as it's got
look
the
like
silhouette,
crap on top,
Yeah.
like a Chernobyl or something. Like this doesn't even look like a grasshopper.
it's a radiation grasshopper.
Yeah.
So,
No.
What have you guys? What's been going on with the organization since last year when we talked?
Boy, we've done a lot this year. We've had a duck hunt.
Okay.
We did an early season teal hunt in Oklahoma, and then also did a late season mallard hunt. And then we just had the pheasant hunt a couple weeks ago that, we didn't have anybody show up to, but still a good time.
Yeah.
And, the Prairie's End Hunt Club, I can't say enough about them, man. They were fantastic.
Yeah.
The guide was great. The dogs were awesome. They processed all the birds for us when we were done. Great facility.
That's really nice.
Yeah, and they're in Gainesville.
Which is
so,
nice.
It's really close.
How was your duck hunts? That was pretty fun. We've been wanting to hunt duck hunt up in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And just haven't had the chance to make it up there yet.
Yeah, we've got some property in Catoosa, 583 acres that we hunt on. And it's right along the Verdigris River.
Okay.
And then there's a few ponds on the property that are specifically for ducks. They're about knee deep.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a lot of geese this year, but we also had a lot of ducks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a good spot.
Wow. We had a pretty, I would say, fair to average season up down here in Texas. So they were so spread out because of all the water we got. Mm-hmm. So it was really hard. We'd hunt one place one weekend, it would be knee deep, and then the next weekend it would be like, nope, we're not getting out of the boat here.
Yeah. Did you guys hunt on Lavon at all?
Not Lavon.
Yeah.
That's a lake we may want to start exploring out a little bit, but we pretty much Tawakoni is our go-to lake. So
I'm thinking about Lavon next season and Coffee Mill.
Coffee Mill. Yeah. I've heard good things.
I have too.
I've been doing some e-scouting on Coffee Mill.
Yeah, I have been too.
Yeah, just like
on
nerding
Onyx.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, well, that looks like a place.
And there's a pond right next to it. I don't know what it's called, but it's, just to the east of it.
That's that one we hiked to. Remember that day? Yeah.
Just kind of.
Yeah. Me and my daughter went up to Coffee Mill and we're scouting it out, and we pulled in on the backside and kind of went down this gravel road back in and parked and started walking down to the lake. And there's a guy parked back there in like a panel van backed up to the water. I was like, ooh. We slowly started backing out.
Get out of
here. So that was the last time we went up there. It was a little sketchy, but I think we just may have went down the wrong trail.
Yeah, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I do not want to be on the beginning of a Law and Order episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Dun-dun.
So when you're scouting, what's kind of a couple things that you're looking for?
We're just looking for some vegetation for the birds to feed on, possibly where it might get flooded up or if it got down low.
What's going to kind of expose?
Yeah, what's going to be exposed, and then what the primary direction of the wind is.
Okay.
In those areas to see, are they going to be coming from this way or going?
Yeah.
And good cover.
Good cover.
Yeah.
For yourself, so you're not just hanging in the water.
Yeah.
Even though we shot a couple pintails, just walking out to a dead bird, they were coming at us. We just stopped, and they just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming, and just.
Wow.
All right, just sitting in the middle. We'd gotten out of our really nice brushed end blind to, have a bunch of pintails come in on us.
That's like hatchery trout.
Yeah.
They'll eat anything.
Yeah.
You got hatchery ducks coming.
Absolutely, they were coming right for us. So.
Somebody's pets.
So Donovan, you're from Oklahoma.
I am.
Or native Oklahoman, or are you from
Tulsa originally?
Tulsa?
Yeah,
Okay.
moved around growing up, but Tulsa's where I started at.
Where you hail from?
Yep. So back now in a small town called Purcell. I'm just south of Norman, about 10 miles.
Mm-hmm. Pretty good burger joint there, I think.
Yeah, and we got a pizza place there too.
Yeah.
But hamburgers and pizza.
That's a standby. So you did a lot of guiding and.
Yeah, I started guiding fly fishing trips up in Missouri right out of high school back in '92, and then moved down to Broken Bow and was kind of driving back and forth between Missouri and Broken Bow, and wasn't the business back then. It wasn't near as popular as it is today. So anyway, I had been doing that off and on for several years, and then back in October, had an insurance agency there in Norman and got out of it and was sitting around a few weeks, didn't really have anything going on, and my wife's like, hey man, you need to just buy you a drift boat and see if you can make the the fishing thing work full time. So I did, and I wish I'd have done it 5 years ago.
That's
wow.
some great support, though, man.
Yeah,
not a lot of dudes can say the wife's like, hey, just go buy yourself a boat.
She was the push. Get out of here. Go buy a boat or something.
I know.
So, yeah.
Tired of picking your socks up. Get out of here.
Fishing Broken Bow and then the Lower Illinois, which is a place that a lot of guys. So I would say, definitely more than 50% of the people that I fish with are from DFW area.
Yeah.
And, everybody knows about Broken Bow. But the truth is the Lower Illinois, depending on where if you're at DFW Airport, the Lower Illinois is 15 minutes farther than Broken Bow.
Oh, wow.
And you're going to see a third of the people and 3 times the fish. So the big thing, the hurdle, seriously,
taking notes.
The hurdle. So I'll be down here April 7th and doing a presentation for the Fort Worth Fly Fishers.
Okay.
And then we got to come up with a date to do the same thing for the Dallas Fly Fishers group.
Okay.
But the Lower Illinois is, and the upper, that whole Illinois River system. I mean, it's world renowned. I mean, Billy Wilkerson, a friend of ours, goes up into Michigan to go smallmouth fishing every year. And this guy, we had this conversation just this past summer, 2 summers ago. The guide that he was with finds out he's from Oklahoma, and then he starts asking, he leaves Oklahoma, goes to Michigan to fly fish for smallmouth, and this guide is asking him what the Illinois River is like. He's wanting to come down here and catch smallmouth.
Oh, wow.
So, it as far as the river system, you got smallmouth, you got paddlefish, which, that's still kind of uncharted territory, is paddle fishing with a fly rod, but it can be done. And of course the trout. It's a year-round stock trout fishery. There's holdover fish. You're going to catch 10 to 12-inch fish, and you're going to have the chance to catch 20, 22, 24-inch fish. We got browns, we got rainbows, but one thing that a lot of people don't know about the Lower Illinois, below the lake, is striper. And there is no other place in the world that you can go and stand in waist-deep water and realistically have the opportunity to catch a 30-pound striper on a fly rod in crystal clear water.
That sounds amazing to me.
And in some instances, sight fishing for them, and watching them eat it.
That's crazy.
I'm very excited about this right now all of a sudden.
It's a cool place. And, but it's not for everybody. You're going to work. You're going to work. There's one guy that comes down from Iowa, fishes the Lower Illinois several times over the summer, and the guy is a big fish magnet. He's caught more fish over 30 pounds than anybody on a fly rod than anybody I know. He's caught more fish over 20 pounds than I have, and I'm there 3 or 4 days a week. He's here for 3 or 4 days, 3 times a year, but he hits it hard. He's throwing the right stuff, and he can cast 80 and 100 foot sink tip line with big, heavy-weighted flies. And that's the hurdle, is most people can't cast the distance that you need to, because it's crystal clear water. It's the Brazos. You're in water with 5-6 foot visibility, and you're casting to these fish that are in 3 to 5 feet of water. So line splash, you want ghost tip lines, sink tip, clear tip lines, long leaders, and heavy flies that are going to get down fast. And most people can't make the cast that they need to do to catch those fish, and it's work. Go out and cast a 10-weight sink tip line, 50 and 60 feet. Long as bombing it as far as you can for 3 or 4 hours straight. Most people can't do it.
Yeah.
So that's the hurdle.
My cast is atrocious.
What if I can cast 10 feet? What does that get?
You're going to catch a few fish, but you're not going to catch the 25 to 30 pounders.
No,
you're just not.
Can't get. You're too close to
they're
them.
too smart.
Yeah.
They're getting away from you. You're going to catch 3 to 10 pounders all day long, and for most people, that's plenty good. And it's a workout. You hook a 10-pound striper on a 8-weight fly rod. You're doing something.
Yeah.
But it's pretty disheartening when you see those big, 25, 30-pound fish, and they're right there. But they already know you're there, and they're not going to eat.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of places that they can get away from you, so they just tolerate you being there.
They just shut down.
But they're not going to bite.
Yeah.
They're not going to bite. But it's. You guys really need to check it out. If you're driving a Broken Bow is awesome.
I was just looking it up on my phone.
He wasn't being rude.
I was like, well,
cool
how
place.
far?
That's what we do now when we get excited.
Like,
let's start looking at this.
And, one thing, so Sequoia National Wildlife Refuge has the largest resident flock of Canadians in this part of the country, and it's 30 minutes down the road on the
wow.
Arkansas. So the lower Illinois dumps into the Arkansas River like 9 miles below the dam. We drift 7 miles, and Sequoia National Wildlife Refuge is like 10 miles down the river. So, you could come in and literally smallmouth fish, the first afternoon when you get there, duck hunt the next morning, and then, if the desire is there, trout fish or striper fish, that afternoon.
And
Wow.
we love doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's how we plan most of our hunts. We deer hunt near a lake so we can fish when
Yeah.
we get out of the stand
Yeah.
in the middle of the afternoon. Duck hunt, obviously where we
Right.
know where we can fish. We always have something else to do.
Last year we were sitting in a deer stand, and we got chewed up by so many mosquitoes. I looked like I had chicken pox, and I was like, I'm done. I was like, it's 9,000 degrees at 7 in the morning.
Right.
I'm getting chewed alive by mosquitoes. Let's get out. And so we got out. We were in a stand together, and so we got out, and I was like, I brought my fly rod. So we just started like casting, and I'd take like 5 casts, and then I'd give him the rod. He'd take 5 casts. And I had just a little popper frog on there. I caught a fish, got him off, and then I gave him the rod. He caught a fish, and it's like, man, I don't know. This is,
Yeah.
I had to get into the water to get away from
Get away from the
get away
mosquitoes.
from the mosquitoes. But that's why I wear waders everywhere I go now. It's like people are like, "What's the best piece of hunt equipment you bought?" And I'm like, hands down, my waders.
Yeah.
I use them for so much, all the time. I need to get me a new pair of fish waders though.
So it sounds like
Some
what we need to do
breathable.
is go to tailwaters, get tuned up on our casting, and then
Yeah.
go check out some new
Yeah.
spots.
For sure, man. I mean, if you guys make a long weekend, we'll meet at Broken Bow and start there. And then, driving up from Broken Bow, it's a little over 2 hours to get to the lower Illinois.
From Broken
So,
Bow?
From
That's
Broken Bow.
that's down the street
Yeah.
here in Texas.
Yeah.
Down the street.
Yeah, that's 45
So-
minutes anywhere to here.
2.5 hours, depending on where we go. And then, we can fish the upper for smallmouth and have a good time.
Yeah.
You're not going to catch any 5-pounders, most likely, but you catch a lot of 2- and 3-pounders. And a lot of them.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
on the
And
way back
then,
from there, you could hit Locust Grove and Chimney Rock Lake, and it's huge on smallmouth.
Smallmouth.
And then if we go that far, hell, we'll just stop by our property and duck hunt.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, my arm, it hurts.
Yeah.
Stop twisting it.
Be a long weekend, man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A
Like I
busy
said,
weekend you won't forget.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I better quit it. My pants are getting shorter.
Yeah. Yeah, we just anytime we can combine things like that, we're into it. So we love Texas. We're all from Texas, but Oklahoma is just this like
So Oklahoma's where all the good carp fly fishermen come from.
That's
from
right.
I
That's
hear.
what I heard. Aren't you like the Texas state champion or something from Oklahoma?
There's a couple guys running around here I've seen that remember.
Yeah. They're a little.
catch big carp.
You want to hear the story about that?
Yeah.
So,
man,
uh,
of course.
Fatties on the
great.
fly. There's some guys out of Fort Worth that
Yeah.
they have like a kind of like Post Fly.
Yep.
They have a monthly subscription. Super cool guys, and they got some really nice stuff. And anyway, I met them at Fly Fest, which is another event like this in Fort Worth on the river last March, and got to talking to them right off and. Fast friends, and they start telling me about this fly fishing. I ask them about carp flies. So, fly fishing for trout and striper, smallmouth, that's been around a long time. But, in Europe, fly fishing for carp, that's the ultimate, man.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys over there, they revere carp over there like we do steelhead here. And, how we have pay-to-play type, trout clubs and stuff, Montana and Idaho, Colorado, Wyoming, they have that over there for carp. And guys are spending thousands of dollars a month just to have access to go fishing on the weekends to these streams with monster carp. So, anyway, it's been something that I was obsessed with for a long time, is trying to catch carp on a fly rod. Because, I encounter them, fishing for trout or smallmouth, whatever. I'm like, man, there's a carp. Dude, that thing's 30 pounds. Could not get it to eat a fly.
Yeah.
And anyway, started researching them and studying them, and I rigged up a stomach pump so that I could pump one's stomach once I caught one and figure out
figured
what
out.
they're eating, and then tie flies to match it. I was obsessed. And anyway,
How
so
do you
as soon
pump
as I
a fish's stomach? I'm sorry, that just
It's like a
so
turkey
some
based.
guy,
Yeah.
that's exactly. I went to Dollar Tree and I spent $5 and I bought 5 turkey basters.
okay.
And I got some vinyl tubing. I got some big heavy drinking straws, some super glue, and I just started putting these things together, And at first I'm thinking, man, it's a carp. It's got to have a big throat like a bass or something. Well, they don't. They got a really, really small throat. So at first I'm like, this poor carp, I'm trying to shove this turkey baster down his throat, and I'm going to flush his gut out and suck it up in the bulb and squeeze it out in my hand and see what he's eating.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, it's so anyway, a small 1/4-inch vinyl, about a 3-inch section of vinyl tubing from an aerator on a fish tank.
Yeah.
Is what I got, and then a turkey baster. And I super glued, that 3-inch piece of vinyl tubing on the end of this turkey baster, and it's perfect. So
wow.
I catch this carp. I go to this pond there in Oklahoma City. There's a bunch of carp. I've seen them there for years, but I could never figure out how to catch them. So started researching this stuff, and this is back in like AOL 2.0 days.
Yeah, you're like
so,
dial up.
So
annoying sounds.
This is not like photo friendly. It's not like anybody can take a picture on their cell phone and it's on Facebook in 3 seconds. This is like a 30-minute ordeal to send up pictures. So there wasn't a whole lot of visual aid as far as these are the flies that they're eating, but people were telling me, and I was going through my trout tying books, and I'm like, dude, I know what a damselfly is. They're everywhere. So anyway, that's one of their big things. Well, carp will get selective based on the forage that's in the water, and they will key in on damselfly nymphs, cranefly nymphs, horsefly nymphs, and it'll be a specific size and a specific color. And they'll eat other stuff, but they'll eat that specific fly a lot more readily than they will something else. So anyway, once I matched the hatch for these carp, I started catching them, and I started catching a lot of them, and I got to where I could go and pick out the biggest carp in the little pod. If there's 10 of them, that's the one I want to catch. And I would target that one fish, and I got to where I could catch him majority of, not always, but if I did my part right, he would eat it. So anyway, moving forward several years, I find out about this carp fly fishing tournament that's coming up. They're hosting it in Fort Worth. Well, a place in North Texas has a lot of big carp, and I fished this stream on the Oklahoma side that flows into Texoma, and I catch 25, 30 pounders in there consistently. So I'm thinking, as he's telling me this, I'm like, man, I could come down there and I could do really well.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, I start prepping for this thing literally the next weekend. So, by the 1st of April, I'm honing it. I'm mapping it out. I know where I'm going first, and I know where I'm going second. And all I'm going to have to do is change the time frame, because we're talking, now we're into late March, early April, and we're talking about fishing this tournament, in September or August. So anyway, I hear about another carp tournament that Orvis guys here, is it in Allen?
They're in Plano.
Yep. Orvis Plano is putting on the
Carp-NATO
fly fishing carp tournament that Tups, the guys right around the corner here, are hosting just up the road. So, but it's in July, and we're on vacation that week.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I just can't fish that one. Well, something happens, and they cancel it, and they reschedule it literally the week before the Texas Carpers United that's coming to Fort Worth. So I'm like, man, this will be a good, like
tune-up.
Tune-up, pre-fish. So enter it with my 14-year-old son, and we finished first and second.
Oh, wow.
In the one at Tups, which is the weekend before the big one, which was the fourth leg, fourth leg of the Texas Carpers United Series. They're having a winner for the event, and then a winner for the aggregate of all four of the tournaments combined. And I ended up winning the tournament, and ended up winning from one leg, beating everybody on most inches.
I'm sure they were like,
aggregate.
Who is
and
this
it pissed
guy?
them off, because I'm from Oklahoma, man. Norman, OU alumni,
Oh,
so
gosh.
all these guys are from Texas. And then the plaque I was telling Chris yesterday, so they had this cool laser engraved huge plaque, it's the size of your equipment box, and it's like crimson and cream.
Oh,
and
wow.
I notice it, and I'm like, this is fate, man. There's one guy waiting to check in. He's the only one that I know of that has got a shot, based on because we didn't have like a running tally that everybody could see, but you would hear people talking. You see stuff on Facebook, so I was keeping up with these guys, and there's this one guy from down around Austin that hadn't checked in yet, and I was like, man, he's the only one that's realistically got a shot. But he was traveling. I mean, he was making like a 4-hour trek back and forth. And anyway, once I had it and I knew that nobody was going to beat me, I was like, hey, guys, man, you ever notice the color of this plaque, man? It's like fate. That's crimson and cream, man. Boomer Sooner. And they were all
Oh,
Man, they were pissed
it was
off.
bad enough. Yeah.
So even today, man, if I could get some stuff stirred up on Facebook in like 2 posts, and I would just ask them if they want to see my trophy.
So what's catching a carp like on a fly rod? Is it just
But
crazy?
man, the easiest thing to describe is you hook the bumper of the biggest truck that drives by and hold on. They
Wow.
are super strong. They're smart, man. They're smarter than any fish in the water. They're selective. They're going to look for colors. They're going to look, and they're spooky. I mean, those things they will spook from your line shadow. They're line shy. They're leader shy. You have to pick out the fly that they're eating, that it closely resembles something that's in the water. I mean, if they've been eating on small crawdads for 5 years, they're not going to eat a small baitfish pattern or, some kind of big nymph that they've never seen. I mean, sometimes you may get lucky, but I promise you, if you put something that's in front of their face like they just ate 5 minutes ago, they're probably going to eat it a lot better.
Yeah.
But they're smart, they're strong, and they're the ultimate fly fishing fit. I mean, everything is sight fishing for the most part. So you got to do your part, and that's 90%. I mean, 90% of it is getting it in front of them and then getting them to eat it, and then the other 10% is holding on and trying to keep them on the line.
So sight fishing in a place like where we're at, right? How do you sight fish in a place like this?
So a big thing with the carp tournament, and this is learned experience. This isn't something that somebody's going to tell you this is the way to do it. This is how you're supposed to do it. So a lot of the places where I'm fishing is in, say you go to Lake Texoma, for instance, around some of the boat docks. It's loaded with carp, but you're not going to see them in 8 or 10 feet of water.
Yeah.
So, but the fish are there, and you can see mud clouds. So they'll tail like a redfish. They'll dig down into the rocks, into the mud, and you'll see a dirt cloud coming up. So it's just like red fishing where, you see those mud clouds. So you get close to those mud clouds, or as close as you can without spooking them, and then you're blind casting into that mud cloud. And then you got to take into consideration like the wind and the current, which way the mud is actually moving, which way you think the fish is facing, and then you got to drag your fly into it, and then you got to detect the strike. Yeah. So not only do you have to find the mud, you figure out which way the fish is facing, and then detecting the strike. So I started using depth regulators. Some people call them strike indicators. Guys in South Texas.
Bobbers.
Guys in Austin call them bobbers, and they don't like them. But those guys are fishing in, water that they got visibility 10, 12 feet. Yeah. Man, I'm fishing stuff that I can see 2 or 3 feet.
Yeah.
So, I just kind of developed how I was able to catch them, and I don't use them all the time.
Sure. And
I would prefer to be able to sight fish for them and watch them eat it. But sometimes you're either going to adapt and catch fish and win trophies, or you're not. Yeah. So, if you want to catch a fish and you can't see them, but they're there, tie on an indicator and get the fly that resembles something that they're eating anyway. Yeah. If you get it in front of them, now you just need them to eat it.
Yeah.
So I mean, nymphing techniques for trout, it's the same thing for a lot of the carp that you're going to encounter in muddy water. It's the same type of scenario. Tight lining, running an indicator, suspension rig, getting the fly in front of them. The ultimate's watching them eat it, making a cast to it, just like red fishing, but most of the time you're not going to get that around here. Yeah.
Wow. It's fascinating, man, just how you just catching a fish that big.
And they're exciting. Yeah. I mean, I've caught a lot of striper. I haven't ever caught anything over 30 pounds, but I've caught a lot of 25 to 28-pound striper.
That's a giant fish.
And I tell you what, man, a 10-pound carp is going to rival a 20-pound striper any day.
And what you're using, like a 10 weight?
Mostly 8 weights.
8 weights?
Yeah.
Perfect. I've got one of
those. Just because they're easier to cast.
Check. Yeah.
Most of the time, you can cast an 8 weight all day long.
Yeah.
And you get a 10 weight, even though there's only 2 sides. There's a big difference between an 8 and a 10 weight, as opposed to like a 6 to an 8 weight. Yeah. I mean, it's like the biggest jump in my mind between rod sizes is an 8 to a 10, and it just takes a lot of physical ability to cast a 10 weight all day long.
Yeah.
But an 8 weight, most everybody can swing.
I've got to get better at casting. That's my thing right now.
Practice. Doing it.
Where do you practice at? I mean, and obviously besides just
on the
going
water.
and fishing?
Yeah, on the water. I mean, you can go in your backyard and just, cast like overhead cast and just work on your timing.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of guys that are going to tell you, elbow to your side, straighten your wrist, only work your elbow. That's like a 20 or 30 foot dry fly cast. That's fine.
Yeah.
You get 50, 60 feet of sinking line out, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna look like a windmill, overhead, like you're throwing a softball type stuff,
Yeah.
So, and some people are gonna do it, like their technique. When you're casting big heavy flies like that, everybody's a little bit different. I fished with a guy last week, young kid, pretty experienced with saltwater, and he had this crazy like sidearm cast. So he wasn't literally picking his line up behind him and throwing tight loops. He was literally like side arming it around and flinging it back over the top. And the first time I see him do it, I'm like, geez. And he's from Texas. I'm like, oh my gosh.
God.
But this guy's dropping 50, 60 foot cast and putting it exactly. I'm like, hey, see those bubbles hit right there where they're doing circles,
like,
man.
boom.
Bloop, he's right on top of it. So it's working for him.
Yeah.
So if whatever you got to do to get it out, that's it.
I guess it's probably just like a baseball swing or a baseball stance.
What works
whatever,
for you,
Whatever
man.
works for you, you know.
All you got to do is get it in the right spot. It don't matter if it looks pretty.
Yeah, I mean I think that's the biggest thing for me too. Is I try to have that like perfect form, and you got to do this, you got to do that, and so I feel like it causes this kind of
clogs everything.
Yeah,
else
and
down,
then I get frustrated. So then I'm like I start, so it's just I start forcing
Yeah,
it, and it's just.
Then you go faster because you can't get it.
Yeah.
to
So
do
roll
what you want.
cast, man, I would push everybody in lines. So your fly lines, man. I mean, on my Facebook page, I just talked about this a couple weeks ago. You can take, Winston boron 3 rods. Those are like the epitome. Orvis H3s. Those are high performance rods. Winston or Sage 1s, Sage X's. You're talking $800, $900 rods. So you take that rod and you put the wrong line, and it doesn't matter if it's a $100, $120 line. If it doesn't match that rod, I promise you, I got a $50 Walmart special in my garage that's going to outcast it.
Yeah.
But you can take a decent rod. Like I'm a huge fan of TFO. We're right down the road here.
Yeah.
They got the best warranty in the industry, and I promise you from experience, their customer service, you're not going to get any. You can go in there, you can walk into their store right now and hand them the broke rod. They're going to hand you another one. You're going to walk out the door in 5 minutes. Some of these other rod companies, it's going to take you 3 months.
Yeah.
So their customer service, hands down. I mean, I fish a lot of Orvis rods, a lot of high-end Orvis rods, but I've got a couple brand new rods from TFO that I promise you, if you didn't know the difference and you cast one and you cast the next one, they're so close.
Yeah.
There is not $700 worth of difference.
Yeah.
And if you break it, and fishing for carp, fishing for striper, you're going to break it. It's going to get broke.
Yeah.
With the TFO, you're going to have it back in a day or two. Literally. I mean, broke one, called them, sent it to them. They had it the next day. 2 days
Just
later,
snapping
I
the
got
rod
the
in half?
replacement. Yeah, breaking the tips mostly. So, casting those flies, nobody likes to admit it, but you slap the rod with those big heavy flies, and it's jeopardized. It's just a matter of time. If it doesn't break right then, it's going to break. So you get a stress crack. So, but, back to the lines is you can take a middle-of-the-road rod and put the perfect matched line for that rod. And, I mean, I've seen guys that'll roll cast further than most people can overhead cast.
Wow.
And it's because they have the perfect setup. They got the right line for the right rod. So if you're struggling, casting, man, get with your buddy who's got another rod. And maybe, if you're running an 8-weight, he's got a 9-weight, man, throw his rod and line or his reel and line on your rod and cast it, and just see if you need a little bit more weight to get the action out of the rod.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot to the sport that a lot of people jumping into it, you don't know, and you think that this is cookie cutter and this is what's going to work. Man, what works for me, it ain't going to work for you. It might. What works for Chris isn't going to work for me.
Yeah.
But you just got to find out what works for you and not be afraid to change some things up and put on a depth regulator when you're carp fishing.
A depth regulator.
Yeah,
I don't think I've heard that one.
That's
our
a new
new-
one for sure.
We just developed that term.
That's a
It's a PC corrected Austin.
Yeah.
yes. A
It goes
depth
along
regulator.
with our Select Platinum hackle that we sell.
Double reserve.
Double reserve.
Double
Select,
reserve
yeah,
hackle.
Select Platinum.
Well, man, that's awesome. It's great stories.
Yeah.
Chris, anything cool coming up soon?
I think we're going to have to put together a carp outing and go to a secret spot over on Texoma. It's about 45 minutes from here.
I love Texoma.
Let's do it.
And
Sand bass are running up the creek right now.
Yeah,
they are.
Loaded up.
Yeah.
Loaded up.
Just down the street here. I can't wait to get out and start.
Yep.
I think people are gonna look at me so crazy when I take my fly rod out to the Rowlett Creek, and they're like, "What in the hell is this?"
Hey, they're all going to laugh until you show them
Yeah,
something.
and then
they're going to
like,
be there
"Oh
with
my
you.
god, yeah."
That's exactly how
I
the
wanna-
carp fishing works, man.
I want to go to the Rowlett Creek with you.
Let's go,
I want to go and crappie fish over there.
dude.
And I got a
I've done
spot
both.
in Anna that I'll take you to. On a
I got
pond.
2 spots over there we can go to.
Yeah.
And we'll get in the old SS Leaky Creek, and
Get a tetanus shot before you go with them.
so
I'm bringing my kayak.
yeah. so I bought
First
a.
aid kit in
Oh,
your backpack.
Yeah, we always carry one.
So
at least 2.
last year we bought. 2 years ago, 17. It was the first year I really duck hunted. I went twice with these guys, and I just always been a big deer hunter. And so, come September, I go dove hunting, and then I'm in a deer stand starting September 30th until January 15th, right? So 17, I was like, all right, I'd get up in the morning. I'd be like, well, I'll go hunt in the afternoon. Go in the morning with them, and oh my God, were those long days. But go duck hunt with them, and I just really got into it. And then, we went out. I was like, man, this is so much fun. So I was like, screw it, let's buy a boat. And so I found a $300 Craigslist 10-foot, 12-foot flat bottom John boat.
Yeah.
I was just like, let's just start limping into this thing, right? And it had, about a 4-foot flex in the transom.
I like where this is headed.
The first time I put it in the water, I was in for 10 minutes and I had water standing in the thing, and it was like, there were no massive holes, there was pinholes all along those rivets.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a colander.
Oh my God.
Basically,
It's
yeah.
a Flex Seal commercial. I saw
It
a
was
guy
a-
with a
oh my God.
screen in his boat.
It was a ridiculous thing. So the first time I went out, I went out with with a trolling motor that I had that I hooked up for my kayak to have a wireless, basically I can control the speed of the motor with a remote. Popped a fuse about a mile away from the boat ramp, and had to paddle a 12-foot John boat by myself with a kayak paddle. And by the time I got back, I'm just like, ah! So there was
I
that.
hate duck hunting.
So I get the boat back. I repair all the holes, and then we go out. Oh God, you're looking at that's some ghetto duck hunting right there.
We be white trash, boy.
We're looking at a picture now of a 12-foot
gosh.
John boat with
Oh my
3
gosh, he
dudes in it.
says.
3 kayaks in tow.
with 2 kayaks, one with somebody in it, and then one with a kayak behind it. Now the story behind that right there is the fact that we went out to deer hunt. We were going to deer hunt.
So you got bows, shotguns, stands,
Camera equipment. I mean, so I topped my kayak and lost cell phone, wallet, keys. I lost fishing equipment. I lost a lot of stuff, right? It was a very expensive kayak tump. And so I'm since then I've been a little shy about going into the drink, especially with all of this stuff, right? It's just I cannot tump the boat and lose camera equipment and bows and shotgun. I mean, all of this stuff. So we go out and we hit a sandbar. I dragged the trolling motor onto a sandbar. It was at like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. And so I hang, and the wind there's a front blowing through, so that we're going right into the wind. So I turn around and I'm trying to get the boat unhooked. In the meantime, we've swung around. I'm completely disoriented. I'm like, screw it, we're going back. This is ridiculous. He's behind. We had 2 kayaks.
Panic voice.
Panic.
We gotta go back, guys. We
gotta
gotta go back.
boys,
We gotta go
done.
back.
We're done, boys.
We ain't gonna make
It ain't
it.
happening.
Water's coming over the boat. I can't see where we're at. We gotta go back.
Oh
We
my
gotta
God.
back.
Call my mom.
Freaking out.
Call my mom. Tell
Call
her I
my
love
mom.
her.
So finally we get straightened back out, and then we're going in, and this front's coming over, and it is like an ocean on the lake. I mean, water splashing over the front of this boat. And I'm like, man, I can't even. So we're supposed to go to like our left, and I got to go to our right just to keep from flipping this, like having this boat. And he's behind us in a kayak, and I'm just like, are you all right back there? He's like, just keep going.
Yeah, I was like, I'm fine.
All of this
And it
being-
was warm outside. The water wasn't cold. Whatever.
Keep in mind, we don't have a boat motor. We have a
Trolling motor.
50-pound thrust trolling motor that is taking us out. And so,
It is
yeah.
ghetto engineered.
It was ghetto engineered. And then duck season came, and we hadn't quite worked out the distance with battery needed. And so we got about 2 miles from the boat ramp with me and him and had to – we finally said it's easier for us to get out and drag the boat through the water because we were in waders. It was, stomach deep. So we're walking, dragging the boat because it was just like – all right, so then we solved that problem. So now we have car batteries.
What is this picture?
The daylight coming in under the drain
Oh,
hole.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So all kinds of problems.
Could be a problem.
Yeah,
I remember.
which we've.
Job for Flex Seal.
Oh my God, the amount I was buying those little tubes of JB Weld, and I finally was like, all right, I've
There's got to be a better way.
Bought
Is
a
there-
caulking tube.
Yeah, I need. So, but I will say, by the end of the season,
Yeah,
We had water.
a water-worthy boat. huh?
we had replaced the entire transom.
He's bailing water out of
Oh,
this
yeah.
picture.
So that is the cut off top. Like I'd cut the top of a Gatorade bottle, and that stays in. That's a bilge
Look at
pump.
I think there's 4 paddles in there.
Oh, there's no doubt.
There's so much stuff.
It's just
my
ridiculous.
God.
I make sure we have plenty of paddles.
We got a backup for the backup in
Oh.
case we lose the backup.
I got tears
Well-
coming out of my eyes.
Well, the best thing is I have videos too. I'll show you of
Oh my
making
God.
him talk about like him having little panic attacks.
So we went and moved a stand to another location, and we had the 2 water incidents, and one of them was the one where I was like, oh, there's something wrong. We're going down. We got to get back and we got to get stuff out. And lo and behold, it was not that bad. But we got it back after that, and it was that boat is as watertight as any boat that is on the lake now.
Does the boat have a name?
The SS Leaky Creek.
I was going to name it the SS Sure to Sink, but
Yeah.
that's good enough.
The Leaky Creek is
Leaky Creek.
what we call it. So she's got about 14 pounds of JB Weld on her.
Right?
Nice.
She's got a brand new transom
Adds
that we
to the
built.
stability.
Oh man, we didn't use Flex Seal. I was smart enough not to do that. But
Yeah.
she's JB welded up. She's registered and she has a title. And
Nice.
but we went out the last day of duck season and she was steady as a steady
Ready
Eddie.
to go, huh?
You
Yeah.
know, so.
See, these are the stories that people don't understand because they don't
For the
hunt.
love of the game.
You know,
I mean-
people
Yeah.
that don't hunt don't get these stories and can't relate to
No.
the hilarity of this and just
So what's funny
the
is out of this whole
memories of
story,
it.
we haven't heard about any ducks.
yeah.
Well, we killed some
Heard about
ducks.
is the attempt to get to the ducks
So
or to the
we
deer
shot
stands.
ducks.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Opening morning, we had a good day. If I could shoot worth a damn, we would have had probably
A better
2
day.
limits of ducks.
I called him and one of our other buddies in a mess of ducks,
mean-
and not a single feather flew.
We and a lot of that, like you said, I think a lot of this too for us is like, I mean, we're not rich dudes who are like, well, I'm gonna go buy myself a $30,000 boat, and I'm gonna go, I got this. I got a pair of $100 waders. I got a 12 gauge pump shotgun that I'm waterfowling with.
Yeah.
We have a $300 boat we bought on Craigslist that we just
And
worked on ourselves.
patched
Got
up.
$300
worth of JB Weld.
Yeah, we got
two,
about
2 motors that are sitting in pieces in my garage.
2 motors that I got one. I found one on Let Go,
Yeah.
and this guy was like, "Yeah, you can come get it. It's $30." And I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a piece of shit." No doubt, right? So I was like, "Oh well," but he's a mechanic, and he's like, "I can fix it if as long as it's not just trash, we'll get it up and running." So I'm
Yeah.
like, "Perfect." So I go in there, and I'm like, he shows up to his house. He's like, all right, well, it's at my storage facility. And I was like, well, this is where I die.
Yeah. Slaughterhouse.
Slaughterhouse. So we roll up to his storage unit. He opens the door, and it is packed full of crap. And I'm like, I don't see a boat motor. He's like, it's in the very back. So I'm helping him unload this stuff, and I get to the back, and I'm like, oh, my God, this thing is older than my dad. And I was like, man, I think this thing's frozen up. He was like, I'll tell you what, get it out of here. It's yours.
Just for free.
For free.
It's
And he gave me 2 anchors.
Yeah.
And he was just like, just get it out of here.
There you go.
He would buy storage units and just get them out. So
It was a 1977 Ted Williams Sears Game Fisher.
game
my
fisher,
God.
yeah.
Can you get parts for
15
that?
So yes and no.
Yeah.
So everything we need, you can't buy anymore.
Of course.
Yeah.
But all the other stuff I could get all day long.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
So we actually, I just got a text from a buddy that is 3D printing us a new starter gear for it.
Oh, nice.
Because they don't make that.
Because they don't make that.
Yeah.
And we just broke it. I had to replumb the whole carburetor and fuel system. They got that all plumbed. Gave it a pull. There goes the starter gear.
Yeah.
What about the impeller? I'm sure it's trash.
So I haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah.
But you can get an impeller
Yeah,
for
we,
it.
we found
Yeah.
a few on
Yeah.
eBay.
All right.
Eska made those motors, which was famous for making snow blowers. A lot of the parts are interchangeable, it seems
Okay.
like, but which ones are and aren't is the hard part to figure out. So it's been an adventure there too, and buddies yelling
I think
at
the
me
long
to
and
get their
short of
motors.
this is that, I mean, a lot of people are afraid for barrier of entry. Like, you can do it. You just have to go. You have to get you a Gatorade bottle,
try
and you
it.
may have to hand bail out water out of your boat. But guess
Yeah.
what? You know, we
Hey, it's part of the story.
got into places that we would have never been able to get into with even our kayaks, just because it was so far to paddle, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a 55-pound thrust trolling motor, and yes, I have 2 car batteries in my boat, and yeah, it gets a little dicey sometimes, but you know, it's still a lot of fun.
But did you die?
No, we did not die.
even close.
Not
Sounds
even
like
close.
Not even close.
Sounds like you
Yeah,
need
we've been
some
way
Xanax
closer
in
and
the
way
boat.
dumber
yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah,
We've
right.
definitely been way closer to death than with the
Definitely.
SS Leaky Creek.
Yeah, she's a good boat. And,
Well, that's what
Yeah,
you're going to
that may be a
remember.
stretch.
Man.
absolutely,
That's
you
what
know,
you're gonna
that's
remember.
that's the fun stuff. So
So you need to bring the Leaky Creek up to the Illinois River,
let's
and
do
we'll
it.
float down the river and catch smallmouth above the lake. And
3
then-
people in it, sketchy.
Yeah.
So 2, man. If
Super
we got
sketchy.
2 in there, yep, I can get 3 guys in the drift boat. And just tie the Leaky Creek on the back of the drift boat.
It's just
So
Not like we haven't done that before.
We're well versed with that.
don't die, Leaky Creek. Yeah, when 3 of us get in there, it's like nobody move. Everybody just sit in the
Yeah.
front.
Don't breathe deep.
Don't breathe deep. No quick movements. And he likes to stand up in it, so it's just like, oh God.
We had 3 of us and the dog in there.
Yeah.
That was sketchy.
Because like
Well,
I thought,
well, it's a 12
dog's
foot,
like-
24
it's a big
inch
dog.
John boat
yeah, it
with
is.
gear and decoys. And,
Oh my god.
Yeah,
We-
probably pushing the weight limit right
oh
now.
yeah,
There's
we were
no
sitting
doubt.
like this.
Especially when you count, you know.
We had about this much gunwale left before it hit the water.
Figure
it was-
in.
Oh,
You're right.
Chris, are you okay? Medic.
do we go into the electric booth?
You found the one hole.
So Chris's
My
back leg on his chair went
into
hole
a
there.
hole into the floor.
Thank you guys.
He takes out the whole display.
We almost took down here. I'll take the gun case.
Man, we about took out the whole show.
Oh wow. Thank God it's Sunday. That just-
Jeez.
I almost did the same
Probably
thing
would-
walking in.
It
Thank
probably
you,
wouldn't
guys.
happen if we had a chama chair.
It wouldn't have happened if we were in Chama chairs. That's right.
No kidding.
We're bunkmates with Chama this year, so
Look at the black hole of death right there.
I saw.
that is a black hole of
Took
death.
you.
It did.
Took
Took
the
us
whole leg.
God.
Wow, I was like, uh-oh. We haven't even been drinking yet. That's the best part.
Yeah.
No beers have been ingested. I think they just started serving, so. But, yeah, so that's the SS Leaky Creek.
That's how you meet your neighbors.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's how
Knocked
you meet
their
neighbors.
display over. Way to go, Chris.
I know. Thanks.
This is why we can't have nice things. Could
We
go in
don't.
Stormwater Creek together and stuff
That's
starts
right.
getting broken. Well, we appreciate you guys being on, and
Enjoyed it.
let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go chase some striper, and let's go get them on the sand bass and those crappie.
Yes.
You
Let's
know.
do it.
Because I have a laughable kayak when you see that one too.
I can't wait.
It makes
Yeah.
the SS Leaky Creek look
It
professional.
looks the SS Leaky Creek looks classy compared to.
It's
Well, let's
that's
hear
a
about
Leaky
it.
Creek.
Sean from Tailwater says, never talk to me about your kayak again.
Don't ever. I don't want to be seen with your kayak.
I don't want to be seen with you. I don't want you to talk to me about it. It doesn't exist.
He
to
was
me.
all gung ho to do a river float with us, and we were like, "Yeah, really do this." Abe was like, "Yeah," and I'll bring my kayak, and he was like, "You know what?
We're good.
I don't
We're
really
done.
want to do this."
I'm out.
He's
I'm out.
just like, "No, you know what? Let's make a different plan."
He bailed on you for your kayak.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, yeah.
He's half joking.
He's half joking.
So what's the kayak?
So I got a
We don't know the name, like what brand
we
it
don't
is.
really. It's a Discovery Future Beach Discovery 124F, which is a 10-foot kayak that has 300 buoy pound capacity. and it's a $300 kayak. It's cheap, and it is tippy. Two of his buddies have used it, and two of his buddies have flipped in it.
Do you remember why they flipped? Because it just screws a 1x4 to the top of it and puts like a John Boat bass seat on it, the folders, but it's not centered. He didn't center it. So when you're sitting, you're automatically already at a cant.
So that compensates for wind drift.
Yes,
so when
exactly.
You're paddling,
See?
it
Donovan
tracks,
gets it.
It
So
tracks
yeah,
straight
the
that way.
seat's not centered. So you're automatically like
Someone's from Oklahoma.
gotta
already
hunt.
starting to.
So
Oh my God.
we have that, and so I decided that I would build some outriggers for it to
Yeah, a
stabilize it.
little stable.
Some wood and some 2-liter pop bottles.
Yeah,
Not
no, I didn't-
PVC
I
and
didn't-
JB Weld. It's really not fabricated.
Man, this is super nice. I got some of that square. I got square tubing
got pictures?
with the holes in it and everything.
Yeah.
And I attached that to my boat and did it up nice with big washers and everything. So it's solid on there. And then I took aluminum tubing that would slide into that and drilled holes into that
so you can pin it.
so I can pin it. And I bought cotter pins and I bought big boat bumpers, and then I fashioned those to that so that I can spread that out. And I had a kayak that was tippy, and now I have a kayak I can stand in.
Hell yeah.
And it's
But it's unpaddleable. It's got so much drag.
it's like
It's like paddling.
you can pull
paddling
them
a
in
John
like,
Boat
like
sideways.
fight mode.
yeah. So that's how I tipped, is in the kayak. And so my kayak's a couple years old, and so I was unaware that there was like on the keel of the boat. We're showing pictures of the kayak again.
I can appreciate it,
yeah.
man.
The pictures we're looking at are on the Instagram.
I've been there.
Head to the Instagram, and you can see the boat. But I catch crappie out of that thing.
You do.
So you
Yeah,
need to
it's
rig you
just-
up some kind of hinge system on the front
Yeah.
that you can pin it. That way, when you have to take
Don't
off,
encourage
boom,
it.
you can go into like fight mode.
Yep.
You know, swinging back
Exactly.
out of the way.
Don't
Swept
encourage it.
pontoons.
Yeah, swept pontoons. So now I just want to put the original thing was like, wow, screw the manual paddle. Let's just put a trolling motor on the back. So now it has
And I see the clothesline reel for your anchor
yeah,
tether.
I got an anchor
Yeah.
trolley on it and everything. She works great. She's
just
a
not
bitch
pretty.
sketch. She's a bitch. She's not pretty. So, but she'll catch fish.
So the booms, the floats look factory.
Yeah. No, just shake
The
it.
alternate sticks up
no.
like a foot off each side.
Yeah.
That's accessory rail.
That's exactly what it is. Thank you.
It's like everybody putting rails in
wing
an AR.
nuts.
Yeah.
It makes it tactical.
It's
I
like
use-
Picatinny rails in an AR.
Exactly.
It's for your
bolt stuff,
GoPro
Jake.
mount.
Exactly. I have all kinds of stuff that rigs up around that. I've used to just quick tie to my anchor, so I've got it right there. All matters of cool
Everything's
things.
got a use if you
Yeah.
can find something for it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
She's a bit tippy though.
She is a little narrow.
So,
She's
but
a
those
big
those
carrot.
booms though, I mean, because we fly fish for carp out of kayaks a lot, and a
Yeah.
lot of the guys have problems, and we've thought about that. You know, I'm like, man, rig you up some kind of booms. I mean,
It works really good. Like I said, I just got like probably inch and a half, just metal with the holes in it.
yeah,
Here's a better
bus bar.
Yeah,
What
bus
that's called.
bar.
Mhm.
And I drilled a hole in it, and then I went underneath because I went under my kayak, and I got some really big washers so it would like not stress out that plastic
Sure.
right there, and mounted each one of those on it, and then just bolted it real tight down. So I mean, I could pick the kayak up and down with it, and they're solid. It's
that
ghetto.
Stability.
That seat's not
Oh
sitting.
yeah.
That's a lot.
And so I mean, the one thing that I would change and update is the way that I've got the
The kayak.
pontoons. Yeah, well, the kayak.
How about the seat too?
The seat is.
Are
If you
those?
sold the SS Leaky and your kayak, you could buy an almost decent kayak.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to because now I have two boats now.
Yeah.
You got to worry about UV rod on those bungee cords around the bumpers.
Yeah. Well, the bump. There's
there you go.
those aren't. There's no bungee cord around those.
That's not a bungee.
No, that is actually. You know the.
That's an optical illusion.
Yeah, it's optical
It's the
illusion.
pleats.
You know those metal. You screw and they tighten what is hose clamps. So I got some really big hose clamps and I hose clamp that
That's
to a piece of
obviously.
the.
What else did you do?
Yeah.
Metal and I mean
would
it
you-
works great. they work really good. And so the reason I have that much all thread is so that I can lower and raise the pontoon.
Yeah.
You know.
Trim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could trim the pontoons if I need to.
So you need added stability. You're down low.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You
Extra
know,
flotation.
So
Get it?
Downforce.
here's the thing, right? So that's a 300 weight
You
pound.
definitely
capacity.
didn't go to UT.
No,
Nobody
I
can engineer anything
No,
like that
no.
graduated from the
no,
University of
no,
Texas.
no.
No,
So
there
was
that's why
a-
you have an Aggie.
There was a stress. There was a stress crack in the keel of that boat, and I didn't know about it. So I went out and I'm tied up crappie fishing, and I'm catching crappie, and I'm like, man,
Getting lower.
I'm a little low, and so I was like, all right, let's just get in, and so I start paddling, and boy, I'm like, Jesus, this is heavy. But I'm staying up. I'm not tippy. I'm staying up. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to pull sometimes I'll pull the pontoons out when I'm paddling back because I've gotten quite stable in it myself if I'm not standing up. And so I pull one off, and the ass end of my kayak sinks back. And it just, and I was like, oh, God. And I tipped.
Put it back in. Put it back in.
Oh, my, there was no putting it back in. It was like, oh, God. And it fell out from underneath me. That kayak it was full of water from that stress crack filling up in there. So as bad as it sucked to lose everything, it was like, well, with these pontoons,
Safety.
I've got, at least
Double
I know I'm
float,
not going to
man.
go down, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I was, and I had it was a big crack, so I've plastic welded it, which I figured out how to do.
Hell yeah.
Again.
I blew out a heat gun from Harbor Freight doing that, but
Did you get the warranty on it?
no. It was
Dude,
I
You
should
always get
have.
the warranty. That way you take it
It was
back,
a
you get another one,
$9
pay the
heat
warranty
gun.
again, you just keep on. Yeah.
So
It's a vicious cycle.
it is. So they laugh at me, but, you know, I've got a boat and a kayak. It works.
Yeah.
And you can
Hey.
stand.
And I could stand in it. Yeah.
Hey, y'all laugh at my brain thing, I laugh at your kayak. It's
Yeah.
only fair.
Yep. So it's whatever you need to get out. And
Yep.
If you got just a couple bucks, you can go, you know, because that's all I ever spend on any of my stuff is a couple bucks.
Well,
So.
and you know, a good point to all that, though, is we've had guys that look at us, like, you can tell true fishermen and hunters and stuff, because, like, you get some guys that are like, I wouldn't be caught dead in that thing. But we've been out, and there's a guy go, I've been where y'all are at. Keep on going,
That's
boys.
awesome.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like, just keep on going, you know. And
Why don't you? So you've been talking trash about me. Tell them about your idea for what you want to do to the Leaky Creek.
Lipstick on a pig, man.
Yeah.
Lipstick on a pig. I said we need to create some outriggers for it. If
Yeah.
we're going to load it down.
Well, we
I
were
mean,
talking about doing
we're-
like 10-foot.
We're already neck deep in this mess.
Yeah,
Like,
might as
who
well.
cares at this point?
So a guy that I fly fish with, carp fly fishing, you know, I mean, you need to be up, standing up,
Yeah.
kayak. You got to have a kayak you can stand up in.
Yeah.
You know, vantage point. So he had this 10-foot Alumaweld John boat he bought from Academy on closeout. And he built this casting platform up on the front. And even when he put his trolling motor battery and everything in the back of the boat, the thing was still like nose down
just-
when he would stand up there. So he went to Home Depot, Lowe's, somewhere, and ended up buying 10-inch PVC pipe
Yeah.
and these huge clamps. And he built two basically pontoons off of each side of that boat. And I promise all five of us could stand up there right
That's
now.
what I was saying. But
Yeah.
what I want to do is put them on outriggers with doubles, put net, so we can throw decoys on the net.
Oh, yeah, great idea.
Keep
Dump
gear out of the boats. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, this thing's already just
Yeah, it's already bad
it's
enough.
baling wire and duct tape. So who cares?
You guys
It's
got to
fun.
have a YouTube channel,
Like
man.
a catamaran.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
But we figured we could just do the.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is.
Exactly.
12
Lake
foot-
Tawakoni catamaran service.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
We'll haul your decoys.
Wine and cheese boards. You
Oh
sit
my
on the
God.
sit on the 10-inch PVC outriggers.
But we've got
Catalina.
Catalina wine mixer.
Catalina wine mixer.
So I built also, and so I have no kids. I have 3 dogs, and my wife is like constantly like, get out of here. So I have built a PVC duck blind that sits on top of the Leaky Creek that they were a little sketched about, and then we were in it, and he was like, "Oh, this actually works well." So we have a duck blind that sits in the boat now too. And I think we need to move to a conduit blind. That's the way it's got to happen.
Yeah.
Chris is like, yeah.
Yeah.
But if we get the outriggers, we'll all go.
I'll follow in my
Hey,
kayak.
man, I know you want
don't
to.
blame
We'll take
you.
you for a spin, bro. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll bring a life jacket, an extra life jacket.
I've got
First aid kit.
We're
I got
arm
a bunch
floaties.
of I've got arm floaties and And plenty of life jackets, that's for sure. So I use the throwable as my seat cushion just in case. So.
Nice.
Yeah, the game wardens weren't impressed with that boat either.
They were not impressed. We roll up opening morning, and they're like,
No.
Just like jerk their heads like, I mean, I guess.
they were like, yeah.
You're better than me. You're a better man than me.
I read the regs, dude.
Yeah.
It passes.
It passed.
Well,
You know.
Yeah, it does.
They gave us a warning because I have like wood frame in it, like not a wood frame, but just like wood in the bottom of the boat to keep it a little bit more like from being so creaky. And they were like, you need a fire extinguisher. So they gave me a break, but I got a fire extinguisher. Stopped on the way home. Was like, I'm gonna put you in the boat and you stay in my little boat box. So.
I tried to tell him that we had a fire extinguisher. All the water in the bottom would not
I
let the
was
boat
like,
catch on
this
fire.
is not catching on fire. There's a foot of water in here.
Yeah.
You know.
I know it's wood, but it is underwater.
I don't think wood catches on fire when it's underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't Flint.
No.
The water doesn't burn.
Yeah, we're
here.
not in Flint, Michigan yet. So, well,
Snap.
we are definitely gonna have to get out and do some fishing.
YouTube
so.
it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. We'll hit you up. How would somebody get in touch with you? Donovan?
Facebook, Oklahoma
Okay.
Fly Fishing. OklahomaFlyFishing.net is the website.
Yep.
Facebook, Instagram, OklahomaFlyFishing.net.
All that good stuff.
Yep, everything is there.
Yep. Donovan give you a memorable fishing trip.
Awesome. What about
Yeah.
you, Chris? How would we get in touch with you?
We're also on the internet. You know, we're KekoaOutdoors.org. Facebook and Instagram, same thing,
Why don't you
KekoaOutdoors.org.
spell that for everybody?
Kekoa Outdoors.
What does Kekoa stand for?
Kekoa is Polynesian for warrior or soldier. So, you know, so we're doing the work with the veterans. I just thought that was a fitting name. So, yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks
Come
for
visit
joining
us.
us,
Guys, it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
absolutely.
All right.
We'll be there soon for your annual your monthly fly thing. So.
Yes.
Sale.
Fly
Yeah.
sale. There we go.
Sale.
That's the thing I was looking
Everybody
for.
needs to come out. It's in Melissa
Yeah.
and get some good deals.
yeah, you need to send us the information for that. We'll try to
Yep.
post it up on our stuff for
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah, if you like the Facebook page, then you'll get all the updates on the sales.
Awesome.
Rock on.
All right.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one.